Hi, how's it going? Welcome to Collector Creations. This is the Blu-ray collection. I've been individually filming every single release that I own, which is about 1,859 for this video. That includes Blu-rays, box sets, 4Ks, steelbooks, the whole thing. To the point of it basically has taken me about 2 months to make, including editing and then refilming and re-editing, and of course the commentary track that I've laid over the top of the whole entire video. So that will include me, listing certain films, talking about particular films and directors, and my love of film and where that all came from. So it's a whole thing. I wanted to have some fun with it, so it's not just me reading out every single name, because that would be boring and annoying and tedious. So that's the basic jam there. Some specifics I feel like are noteworthy to mention. Firstly, these are all in alphabetical order with a few exceptions, that being the Disney Pixar collection is under D for Disney, but they're all in alphabetical order themselves. Then I've got Marvel and the DC films as well in their own sections. They're basically in release order. Then you get director collections, which will be in release order for each individual director that I've got specific sections for on the shelf. They're just out of shot here, but I've got like a whole 2 columns of just individual directors that I like keeping together, like David Lynch and John Carpenter, which will be underneath their surnames, which will be on screen as well. There are also a few steelbooks that don't come with titles, like Waterworld and the Lighthouse, so I've put the titles on the screen as well, just so it doesn't confuse anyone. There are others that are like that, but they're all going to be in like a bundle, say Original Black Lagoon. I've got a steelbook that doesn't have a title on the front cover, but it's pretty damn obvious what it is, not to mention the fact that it's in the Original Black Lagoon collection, so yeah. Anyway, that's basically it for the rules. For steelbooks that are in box sets, say my True Romance Arrow video set, I will be showing off the box first and then the steelbook. I won't go into too much detail of like every single side to every single steelbook and stuff like that, just to kind of keep it brief, but basically to give you the idea of what the set is and what kind of form of physical media it includes. But yes, so that's basically the gist of it. You'll notice that my beard will change constantly because I filmed the main shelf shaved, then realized I want to add box sets and steelbooks to the video, so that was... yeah, it's taken me a long time to film this, so I hope you guys enjoy. That's basically the gist of the roundup. But yeah, enjoy, and I'll see you at the end of the video. 3, 2, 1... Hello everyone, this is the collection. We're just jumping straight into it. We're at the letter A. Unfortunately, it starts with Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but hey, that's just how it is. I don't really know what to talk about in this video. I wanted to talk about my love of film and film history, but I'm gonna kind of react to the films that you see here because I've got the Airplane Steelbook and Flying High, aka Airplane, because it's called Flying High in Australia for some reason. I also have multiple versions of Akira, as you'll see. This video will mix my standard Blu-rays and 4Ks with box sets and steelbooks, so hence I've got different kind of angles to showcase everything. I do have a good selection of Alien films, some of my favourite horror films, Alien in particular being probably my favourite horror film. It's that classic, hey, this traumatized me as a child, but that's okay, I love it. I've never not loved it, and it just grows on me more each year, so I'm very proud to have that Alien collection set. I do have Prometheus and Alien Covenant in the same selection just because it's part of the same universe. I do that sometimes. It doesn't really bother anyone because, I have to think of the consensus of what do people who are visiting or my family think when they look at the shelf and they're like, hey, I want to watch Prometheus, why isn't it under P? It's like, well, it's an Alien film, so look for Alien. It's pretty simple like that, What else do we have here? Amelie, probably my favourite French film. That is the Nova Media version. American Wolf in London, a classic that Dad showed us that terrified us as children. Always classic. I do have a wide range in terms of genre. Mostly it's horror, but I do have a variation of, well, as you can see here, from Anatomy of a Murder to the Annabelle films. So, I've got films from all kinds of countries, from different time periods that stretch over 100 years, which is always a joy when it comes to the collection. And I like having various versions of them as well. As you can see, I've got several versions of Apocalypse Now. That Steelbook version having every single version of the film on 4K, which was the only way I could get that, which is really nice, and it's a beautiful Steelbook. Now we're up to one of our first director collections. This is Dario Argento. I'm labeling them by surname, so here we have Argento. I've got my various editions for his Blu-rays and his 4Ks. Suspiria, probably being my favourite of his films. I mean, it's probably his most infamous film as well. I say infamous. It's his most famous film, let's be honest. I think most people say that Deep Red is his best in terms of the giallo genre, and to be fair, it's a good one. You know, I do include Two Evil Eyes despite it being co-directed by Romero, but that's because I don't have a Romero collection. You'll see later I have a Dead collection, but it's not all of his films, obviously. Yes, I do enjoy Assassin's Creed. I don't know why, I just really like that movie. I like the games, I guess, sure. And here we are, David Attenborough. I basically collected a bunch of his documentaries that he narrated over the past couple of years. And yeah, some of the 4Ks, I will be honest, are some of the best looking 4Ks you will get. Like, that's the kind of stuff where if I got family or friends over, I'd be like, hey, you want to see like some of the best looking 4K? Here is the David Attenborough documentaries, because they are amazing. Then we got Back to the Future, the Steelbook collection. It's an interesting Steelbook collection. The 4K transfers are very nice. And yes, I do have some Criterions. I've got all kinds of labels from Criterion to Arrow Video to Eureka to ADF Films. A lot of different boutique labels. This is my Batman collection, mostly because in alphabetical order you get Batman. So I've put them in release order from the original TV show to the animated show, the live action films, and of course the Batman, and a porno. Let's not talk about that. Battle Royale, classic Japanese cinema, love it. Battlestar Galactica, good show. I got the Blu-ray, probably not worthy of getting the Blu-ray, should have stuck with the DVD, but I'm happy with it anyway. Mario Bava, a small selection, but valued in my slasher collection, I guess, despite Danger Diabolique also being there. What else do we have here? Got a lot of Beast films. Got a small Beatles collection, mostly because, well, they're dad's. I've bought 2 of them for him. They're just good. I don't know, we grew up with the Beatles. He's always loved the Beatles, you know. Beetlejuice, that's a good one. Classic. Good Steelbook, good 4K. Got some animated films as well. French cinema, Ben-Hur. If you do notice, it may look a little laggy with some of the clips. It's just because I didn't film them for long enough earlier on in, so I had to, pad them out a little. So I had to slow them down just so you can kind of get the point, but, it is what it is. Got Birdman, the Birdman Steelbook, which is a nice release. Comes with a puzzle, which is a picture of the poster. It's very weird. Black Christmas, of course, and not a great release, but a classic film. And some of these are pretty good horror films as well. Black Shield is pretty interesting. Black Sunday, Black Swan, of course, and Blade. Blade the Immortal. This is Blade Runner, obviously a classic film, but that's my 5-film set, which does actually house the 4K disc for the final cut. Only because that's the one I showcase on the shelf, so, if you want to watch it. And that is not my... Oh, I guess we're going into more Blade Runner 2049. My 4K UHD Standard Edition is actually my Denis Villeneuve collection, but I figured I'd put the rest as Blade Runner collections, as you see here. And yes, I do have a lot of steelbooks of the film, because it is my favourite film. I'm very proud to have that film in my collection. Blazing Saddles, classic Mel Brooks. That's the limited edition Blob set. I didn't know it was limited edition for the longest time, and that's because it comes with both the original film and the 80s film. And I would recommend the 80s film wholeheartedly. It is absolutely amazing. Blues Brothers is a classic. Bodies, 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 one of my favourite of the recent years. I dislike that film, the Bohemian Rhapsody. It's unfortunate, but I don't own every single Blu-ray in this collection here. Some of them are my parents'. That James Bond set in particular is Dad's. Booksmart, I absolutely love that film. Boondock Saints. I've got some Mondo Steelbooks. I bought a good selection of them a few years back. I've sold a good portion of them off since then, but, it's one of those films. I didn't have a second copy of it, so I figured I'd keep it. It's a nice steelbook, so why not? Boyhood, and then the limited edition Boyhood steelbook, which I have not opened because it's limited edition. I don't know. Some of these are like rare collectibles that I figured I'd obviously put in the video because they're a part of the collection. Some of these I do have intention to sell off. Some of these are duplicates that I'm given to, like, my brothers or my dad. This is the Breaking Bad collection, so hence why it starts at Better Call Saul, because of chronology. But yes, I do have a lot of duplicates that I do plan to just kind of give to my dad. Because, some of them he doesn't have, or some of them he only has DVD copies, so it's basically as simple as that. What else do we have here? Bridge and River Kwai, I've heard it's very good. I still haven't watched it, I know. It's surprising because I have the 4K Steelbook as well. But, I'll get around to it eventually. a lot of classic cinema that's like 3 hours long, and I'm like, I'll get to it eventually, Bruce Lee collection from Criterion is very nice. Bubba Hotep, a classic. Bullet Train, I don't like that film, but that's alright. Got it for Dad. A lot of good Korean films as well here. Buster Keaton, because I have him under Buster instead of Keaton. I don't know why. I have a few of the director's things that are like that, where I just kind of go for the first letter of the name. Dr. Caligari is a beautiful film, and it's a very nice 4K as well. Candyman's a classic. Cannibal Holocaust, that's a movie, alright. Yeah, that's basically it for that. John Carpenter, maybe my favorite director. I always did put up him with David Lynch, but I adore Carpenter's films. It's just, for me, I prefer rewatching a lot of Carpenter's films, like The Thing and Escape from New York, and Prince of Darkness being probably my 3 favorite of his. But, I love David Lynch. I love all of his films, so, I don't rewatch them as much, but I don't love all of Carpenter's films in contrast, so that's why it's very up in the air for me. But I do have several versions of The Thing, as you see here. But the 4K Steelbook, like that new scan that Universal did, is absolutely gorgeous. And that is the Turbine set, which is a really nice set. Christine's really fun. Starman's great. I do have 2 copies because I upgraded to the Scream Factory, Shout Factory, whatever. Big Trouble in Little China is really fun. They Live is great. They're all good movies. Eventually we'll get to the bad ones, but Prince of Darkness, I adore it. A lot of people don't, but I absolutely love it. That's not a great film. That's okay, it's a TV thing. The Mouth of Madness, pretty good. Village of the Damned is, it's okay. If you've seen the original, they don't really, the remake's not amazing, but most of these films are not, in the latter half of his collection, are not great. Casablanca with a nice 4K transfer, masterpiece of a film. So, Cat People. Yeah, we're just jumping straight out of Carpenter into Cat People, classic cinema, basically. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. But then we got Jackie Chan. Because I just collected a bunch of Jackie Chan films. I can't say I know why, outside of I love his style of both, his martial art films, his physical comedy. They're really fun. I think my favorite of his is Dragons Forever, which I've got 2 different copies of. Police Story obviously is iconic, and the 4K set is really nice, but I do have the standard editions here as well, because I bought them years earlier, with Super Cop being the exception, because I had that version first, the Chinese version, then I had both Eureka versions, the 4K and the standard edition Blu-ray release, come in at the same time, because they were released at the same time. But yes, Dragons Forever, I'd like to get the 4K UHD for it, but I'm pretty happy with the 4K scan that they have. Yeah, there's not much else for me to say there, but yeah, a lot of good films that he's in. Most of them are ones that he's acted in rather than directed, but it's a good variety nonetheless, why not? It is my collection. Chernobyl, amazing miniseries, beautiful steelbook. Children of Man's classic, Children of the Corn, good stuff. Some great limited edition box sets here. I debated with this one because this is a Child's Play collection, but I don't show Chucky off until now. Because the Chucky box set and the Chucky Season 1 I have in a separate section on a box set shelf, whereas the Child's Play films I have on the main shelf. So I don't know yet if I'm going to upgrade the rest of them to 4K from the new Scream Factory editions, but I guess we'll see. I don't know, it is what it is. But I still need to watch Season 2 as well. There's so much media here that has so many evolutions. Clue is a classic, I definitely recommend that. Collaboration's wonderful imprint box set. Collateral's great. But it's just one of those things where, you got a lot of sets here, a lot of films, and they just kind of keep upgrading and keep continuing on for their series. So I just have to keep adding to it. It's kind of terrifying in a way. That Columbia Classics box set, I've got like all of them divided throughout the shelf, so you'll see them all individually. I just wanted to include the big box because that's what they're labeled under. Conjuring films, pretty good. Third one, not so much, but you know, it is what it is. What else do we have here? Conversation, good friends for Coppola. So then I've got, Sofia Coppola. I don't have a Francis Ford Coppola collection. I don't know why. I probably should. I don't have a lot of his films, but I've got like all the Godfather films, so I've got enough for a collection. But I just wanted to put on the Sofia Coppola films all together. Why not? Great director. Interesting selection of films as well. Cowboy Bebop, great anime. Got the movie as well, why not? Crash, probably my favourite of Cronenberg's films. I love Videodrome, but Crash was just, I mean, I don't know, they're both like 4 or 5-star films for me. So, I don't know, it is what it is. I'm going to keep saying that, but that's just the truth of the matter here. What else have we got here? Cube, some fun, like, small budget horror films as well. Cure for Wellness, it's going to be a cult classic, so don't worry if you miss it at the cinema movie. I don't know, that's just how it was advertised, which is weird. Dark Age. Dark City is a great Australian film. I always forget which version to watch, if it's the theatrical or director's cut, but I think the director's cut's the one you should watch, because it doesn't spoil a twist, whereas the theatrical, like, spoils the twist at the start of the movie. Then I have my DC Extended Universe, whatever it's called, here. So, I showed both sides of Batman v Superman. I don't know, why not? I got the 4K, it's really nice 4K. Some of these films I don't love, but I don't mind having them. I mean, Justice League is great, you know. I don't mind the Suicide Squad. They're all pretty okay films. Then, yes, my Dead collection, starting in... This is, like, narrative order? I don't even know. I don't know. Like, Night of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. They're all just kind of just there. Like... I don't know, they're great films, you know. I've got no criticism against any of them. I love Romero's originals, I love the remakes and the spin-offs and whatever. Return of the Living Dead is amazing, so that's pretty good. I'm hopeful they get the 4K upgrade of that soon as well, so it's hopeful, yes. And I've got 2 different versions here of Dead Zone. It's a good film. I like the 4K transfer from Scream Factory, but the special features on the imprint version are also really good, so, you know. What else? Delicatessen's a great French film. Deliverance is a very interesting film. Then we've got Guillermo del Toro. Yet to see all of his films, and yet to buy all of his films, but I'm very happy with the selection of his films that I do have. That is a very nice Pan's Labyrinth steelbook. The Criterion is a very good scan. Shape of Water is great. Nightmare Alley. Then Demoni and Demoni 2. I love these 4Ks. Great films. Then we've got Brian De Palma. I think Phantom and Carrie are my 2 favourite of his. Carrie I've always adored. I've never not loved it as a film. It's a really good transfer as well. I probably should get the 4K UHD, but, you know, I don't know, eventually maybe. Blowout was really good as well. A lot of great cinema that Brian De Palma has. I would put Mission Impossible in there, but I've got that under the Mission Impossible label because it's the first of a franchise. That is just how it is, unfortunately. Die Hard, I've actually got the 4K disc of that in that box set because I've just replaced the discs around, also because I hate the 5th film, so, you know, I haven't seen it, so I'm just, like, hate it from its existence rather than watching it. Then we have my Disney/Pixar animated selection, which is basically Disney animated, but because Pixar was, of course, incorporated into it, I've added them to the bunch as well. It's a whole selection of animated features with... I'd argue my favourite's probably The Incredibles. Like, all these are, like, childhood favourites for the most part. Monsters, Inc. I love as well. So, yeah, I mean, they're all childhood favourites. Some of them have aged very well, some of them have not. Ratatouille's great. That's the Japanese version of Snow White that I got in Japan. I just happened to find it when we were at Disneyland. I'm like, hey, I don't have that on Blu-ray. I've since got the Australian Blu-ray because I got it for really cheap. But, you know, not bad. Turning Red, love that movie. Up is great. Wall-E's great. These are all good films, you know. Django, Abominable Dr. Phibes, which on my Blu-ray.com list actually has that as the first one, not Abraham Lincoln. Then we've got Doctor Who and Doctor Who and Doctor Who, and guess what? More Doctor Who! Oh my god! I just figured I'd put them all under Doctor Who, even though the movies are DR Who, so like, you know, the acronym of Doctor, whereas the others are Doctor kind of with a, you know, OCT, I don't know, who cares, it's all Doctor Who. I probably could have put them in release order, but it doesn't really matter. they don't live on the same shelf anyway, so I guess that's worth noting. Then I've got a small Dracula collection. That's 3 DreamWorks films, so they're pinned on the DreamWorks collection, same as in the Blu-ray.com app. Then we have Drive and the Mondo Steelbook and the box set from Second Sight, one of the best Second Sight releases that they have. Drive My Car is a great film. Criterion's really nice. Yes, it's a Dumb and Dumber and Mask collection. I think it's under Dumb and Dumber. I don't know, just because that's the first name that pops up on the list. Ed Wood is probably my second favourite of Tim Burton's films behind Beetlejuice, but it's probably his best film. Edge of Tomorrow, got a good 4K steelbook set there. 8.5, good Criterion. That's 2 documentaries. It's a mini-series with 11/22/63. Elvira, because she's iconic. I don't love the films, but she's got a great persona, so I really like that, so that's fun. Emma's fun. Spooky Kind, Encounters of Spooky Kind. Endless Summer is actually Dad's copy, which is funny, because it's Second Sight, which is very weird. Enter the Void is a very interesting film. Escape Room and Escape Room 2, really fun movies. I would recommend them. Evangelion, I do have the Neon Genesis set, but that's under Neon Genesis, whereas it was listed under Evangelion. But I do love the movies, and I do hope they release the 4th one, but they probably won't in physical media. Then we have Ex Machina, which I don't have a standard release of. I've only got steelbooks, but I don't mind because it's a very, very good film. Exorcist, classic horror. Exorcist 3, classic horror with a sleeve. Exterminating Angel as Laura Mars. Eyes Without a Face, they're all good stuff. F for Fake. Face Behind a Mask as well. Face Off, a classic action film, I guess. I don't know, it's bizarre. Fall, I don't love that I have it in my collection, but I got it for Christmas, so here we go. Fantastic Planet, good French animated film. Fargo's good. Fast and Furious, iconic films. It's one of those things you got to appreciate them for being kind of not the best, but also not the worst, you know? A Scorpion, a female prisoner scorpion, I might add. A Few Good Men. Fiddler on the Roof is a recent edition because Dad wanted to get it, so I was happy to buy that for him. Fifth Element, the 4K transfer looks amazing. That's the Studio Canal version, which I recommend. Final Destination, great series. Then you've got, David Fincher, great director. Wonderful selection of films here. That's the 4K of Social Network, which is from that Columbia set. Got some good alien stuff as well, with Fire in the Sky and First Man. I know it's not an alien film, but they're space and the moon, I guess. Flash Gordon's fun. Fleabag, I love that they released a Blu-ray release of it because it's such a good show. The Fly, this has 5 movies in it, as you can see there, with the original 350s ones and then the Cronenberg one. And it's an odd sequel. Forbidden Planet, good film. Ford v Ferrari is really nice. And now I've got a Frankenstein selection. So you got, these are all in release order. They're not in alphabetical order. So even though 2 of them were 2 years, but a year between each other, which is really interesting. Freaky and Freddy vs. Jason. And guess what? Then we're up to Friday the 13th. I don't know, I put Freddy vs. Jason first because it's alphabetical, but it is in that set for Friday the 13th. I'm pretty sure. Either way, love Friday the 13th. Love Fright Night. Good 4K steelbook as well. I think Friday the 13th is my favourite slasher series because I just love Jason. Always a lot of fun to watch him. Dust Till Dawn. Good Nova media release because there wasn't really an easy Blu-ray release to get, so I got that. Then my Lucio Fulci collection, which I do have zombie flesh eaters, but I've loaned it out to my colleague and she's lost it. So hey, I've got the 4K, so it doesn't really matter. You know? Still a fun selection of films. Galaxy Quest is a classic. Awful cover art where they put the PG, the little rating sticker, but that's alright. Game of Thrones, I have the first 2 seasons on DVD. I feel like it's worth noting that. It's basically all I can really say about that. I mean, it's an alright show. I've enjoyed it, but I'm not fond of the last few seasons, as most people aren't. And then we have the classic Gamera set with, oh my god, more Gamera. And what's he gonna do? Oh my god, they're combining like it's a Power Rangers thing. I don't know. Wow, maybe it's Exodia. I don't know. Gattaca, the General, good Buster Keaton. That's in the same Buster Keaton set I had earlier, but that's my dad's copy, so I don't know, it's under the General. I don't know, it just is. Ghost in the Shell, because I love my classic 80s and 90s anime films. So, like Akira, and this is a beautiful 4K as well. We've got the animated series. It's the limited edition set. I'm so happy to have that set. Ghostbusters, It has the 4K remastered disc, not the disc that's actually in that set, but that's alright. And Ghostwatch, really good show. Well, TV special. Really worth watching. Ginger Snaps, I've met the guy who's in Girl Asleep. He's a really nice guy. He went to my uni. Girlfriends is a really underrated film that I got from Criterion. Really good, worth watching film. Goddard, I'm still yet to dive into the majority of his filmography, but I'm happy to have the set nonetheless. Yes, and then we have the Godfather films. I got them all on 4K. I've actually installed the Blu-rays into each set as well. I'd actually gotten the Blu-ray for the third film separately before they released the 4K, so hence why that's there. Then we're into Godzilla. I love me some Godzilla. I started with the Japanese ones here, and then we go into the American ones. I do have later on a Monsterverse Steelbook set, which comes with all of the Monsterverse films as a Steelbooks, but I figured I'd keep them on the Monsterverse because that's mostly what they're pinned under, because I do have Kong Skull Island later on. But I got some good releases for that. That's a beautiful Gone with the Wind set that I got from Mum. Good time. It is not a good time, but it's a good film. Goonies. I'm not huge in the film, but I do love the Steelbook release, so that's kind of why I've kept it there, because it's just great. It's a great Steelbook. Graduate's good. Grandmaster, Grave of the Fireflies. Wow, some real happy films here, aren't they? Grease, I hate the artwork, but it's a wonderful 4K scan. The Greatest Show on Earth. That's a really interesting one, especially if you're a Spielberg fan. Green Room is really good. I haven't watched it since, but I really enjoyed it the first time. Gremlins, love them. Gremlins 2 is my favourite. I know everyone loves Gremlins 1, but Gremlins 2 is the better film. The Guest, really good film. Beautiful 4K as well. I'd highly recommend so many of these films. I don't really want to keep saying, I recommend this one, I recommend this one. I don't recommend all the ones I have, but I do recommend the majority. Then we have my Halloween collection. So I do have a version of Halloween in my John Carpenter collection, but these are all the Scream Factory releases and separate releases, including the theatrical Rob Zombie versions. The director's cuts are actually in my Rob Zombie collection. Yes, that is worth noting. You'll see it later in the video, don't worry about it. And then we got some Hammer Horror, some recent additions with that one, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with these Hammer Horror sets. Some interesting selections of films. Yeah, The Handmaiden, Korean cinema again. That one's on The Handmaid's Tale, because Mum loves The Handmaid's Tale, so I've got the first 2 seasons of the show, I've got that movie. I don't like the whole World's Gone Wild label that they double feature a lot of JB Blu-rays as. It's really, really weird. But, I'll point out one later when we get to I, don't worry about it. Happy Feet 2 is a classic. Ray Harryhausen, love that set. Beautiful set. Gotta have them under my Harryhausen, alphabetical listings, for one thing. Harry Potter, grew up with them, love them, I know that there's a controversy with the writer, but let's just move on. Heat's good, Heathers are good. Heaven knows what, I haven't seen that one yet. God, Heavy Metal's really weird, but very fun. ARS is really nice. Hellraiser are really fun. It's a movie. I do like it, but put that on the Werner Herzog, so under his surname, but it's an interesting set with a good selection of special features and short films. Highlander's fun. The 4K scan is really nice. I should put it in a Wes Craven collection at some stage, but I just haven't gotten around to it. And I've got my Hitchcock collection. There's a lot of range of steelbooks and 4Ks and all kinds of stuff, but he's made some good cinema. What can I say? And then I've actually also got, where is it? Oh my god, I gotta get through all these steelbooks first. So yeah, the Hitchcock movie and then Hitchcock Truffaut. I've got them all under Hitchcock. He obviously didn't direct the other two, but it's just, they're under the brand name of Hitchcock, whatever, so I just kind of kept them all together. Makes it easier for Dad to find them. So that's the worst Criterion cover I've seen for holiday. It's just so the quality's awful. But House, I love, as in the Japanese version. My first ever Criterion, and I absolutely adore it. House of Wax is really fun. I haven't seen the new one, but yes, I do have it. How to Train Your Dragon's really fun as well. Howling's a great steelbook design. The third film is really weird. The second film is really weird too. I just don't own it, unfortunately. Yes, we do have the Hulk on 4K. Love it. Beautiful steelbook set. Hunchback of Notre Dame, because I have, for some reason, too many copies of the same film. I know one of those is the 50s version, but still. Hunger Games, why not, Hunt for Red October, really good film. What else do we have here? I Know What You Did Last Summer, because it's not... You got to have that classic trilogy. Why not? I thought it was a different set when I bought it, but it was still the trilogy set. I'm happy to have it. That one, Icons of the Silver Screen, because they're both biopics about musicians. I mostly got it for the Jimmy Stewart one about like Glenn Miller. So yeah. Incredible Melting Man, Incredible Shrinking Man, which I have a second copy of in a retro sci-fi. You'll see that later. Insidious. My God. Sometimes I'm shocked as to how many films I have. If you want to know, I do have, though not all of them are shown, because some of them I'm actually listing for selling or whatever, because they're like duplicates I don't care to have. But for the most part, I have about 1,860 films. So that's the amount that I've got scanned in. Some of those are collections as well, so I definitely have more, but some of them are TV shows as well, so... Yeah, that's just how many Blu-rays I have. It doesn't include every single film, unfortunately, because, again, some of them are sets, so that just is what it is under the same barcode. Italian Job, Ivan's Childhood. It's a Wonderful Life is really good, obviously. I mean, the black and white 4K is really good, but I do have the other Blu-ray, which comes to the color version, because why not? Yes, John Dillman, of course. I have the infamous Criterion that I've had for years now, and it's a very good film. I do have a very small Jodorowsky collection, but no one's going to complain about it, despite it being Jodorowsky, because they're not in alphabetical order. And yes, then I got the John Wick films. Love the John Wick films. I'm so excited to get the fourth one. But I only have the third one as a steelbook, because it's the only version I could get with like the R18 uncut version, so still, absolutely love it. Got some Bong Joon-ho as well, can't go wrong there. Great filmmaker. Good variety of films, and you'll see, yes, I have several versions of Parasite, including the 4Ks, the black and white version as well. So that's great. Duel The Grudge, I did a video on that recently. Interesting set. Jumanji, love Jumanji. Jump is fun. Jurassic World is not very fun, but you'll see Jurassic Park in my Spielberg collection, so don't worry about that. Karate Kid. These are the individual releases, but they do come in a box that I couldn't be bothered showing because it doesn't have the name of them, Killer Clowns, iconic. Killing the Sacred Deer, pretty good. That's the limited edition, I think, for Killing Spree. I don't know. Then we got to King Kong, because I put on the King instead of Kong. I don't know. I've got a lot of them, as you can see here, but they're all listed basically as King Kong, except for Kong Skull Island. But that's just what it is. King of New York, wonderful 4K transfer, really good film. Kingsman, interesting films. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, beautiful. And Kitten with a Whip, this one is my number 100 on the imprint line, which I got because it's number 100 on the imprint line. I got Satoshi Kon. I've got all of his films, I believe. He unfortunately didn't do a lot because he passed away quite young, but his works are absolutely tremendous, and I highly recommend all of them. Stanley Kubrick, of course, because if you're a cinema goer, you kind of have to have Kubrick, I feel like, in your collection to some degree. He's like the, legendary version of a filmmaker to some degree, but either way, I've got, obviously, I think I've got every film of his, maybe except for one or two of his earliest films, but I'm pretty sure I've got all of his films, but I've also got a variety of different steelbooks as well, because... why not? My favourite of his is probably The Shining. I can't think of any of his that I love more than The Shining, but obviously I'd say Barry Lyndon's probably his best film. And then Akira Kurosawa, another fine filmmaker who I'm yet to collect every film of, but I'm very happy for the ones that I do have in my collection. Ran is very good. The 4K is exceptional. Dreams is probably actually my favourite of his, weirdly. I don't know, it's just... I like the style that he approached for it, even though he's probably his, least liked of his more known ones. I don't know. Either way. See, I think one of the things I really like about my collection is that it obviously varies in, genres and, decades and languages and all kinds of stuff. And it all stems from different elements of what I love about film. And someone like, later on we'll see Tarantino's selection, he's the kind of filmmaker who has this ability to, every film of his is basically inspired by something else. And, that's kind of the rhythm of cinema, where everything is inspired by what's come before it. And because of that, it's allowed me to branch out and discover more things. But also a lot of this stuff I, credit to my parents growing, like, with the DVD shelf that we had as kids and the kind of stuff that both my dad liked and my mum liked, like this Sergio Leone section here. My dad got me into these kind of spaghetti westerns, and I'm not a big western person, but I love spaghetti westerns. So, there's a whole range of stuff like that where I give a lot of credit to Life Force. That's probably my favorite of Tobe Hooper's works, even though I love Texas Chainsaw. Little Shop, director's cut, wonderful. But yeah, it's just nice to have that like essence to my development of my love for film. So that's just something I figured I'd add in because, I mean, these are all fun films. They're all really interesting versions. Looper is really fun. I can't believe I have the rare Mondo Steelbook, but that's just how it is. Lord of the Rings, because how could I not grow up on these? I didn't know there were theatrical cuts. I grew up on the extended cuts as a kid because that's just what I had on DVD. So, Love Serenade, my favourite Australian film, worth noting. I recommend that to everyone, Love Serenade. It's very strange, but it's a very unique experience, I think. And now, of course, David Lynch, arguably my favourite director. I love all of his films. The thing is, again, like I said with Carpenter, is Lynch is the kind of guy who I'll watch his films occasionally. Like, every one of them I'll watch once every couple of years. I won't watch them all consistently every single year, like a religious kind of experience, Whereas Carpenter, I will, love going back and watching, The Thing and Prince of Darkness and Halloween, every year. But with Lynch, it's tricky to get back into the groove of watching some of his films because they can be so different to what you naturally experience through filmmaking experiences or film-going experiences. So, yeah, but that's just kind of what I love about it, is that I love his style of filmmaking. The surrealism especially was really big and impactful for me in my school years for, cinema. So, it's always good that I had teachers who encouraged that because I had a teacher who absolutely loved David Lynch, and I did an interview with her as well. So, most of it we talked about David Lynch, but Malignant, love it, Maltese Falcon, classic cinema, got Man from Hong Kong, great Aussie film. There's a lot of these films here. I've seen all these ones. Yeah, I can't believe I have though. The Man Who Killed Bigfoot and the Man Who Killed Hitler and then the Bigfoot. Some of these movies I just have because they either have crazy names or because their existence in general is insane. That Forever Marilyn set is exceptional. She's a fantastic actress. I've done a video on her work as well. That Martin set, really good transfer, great special features. And here we are at the MCU. This is obviously the obligatory. I bought every single one of these. A lot of the ones I don't like from the MCU I bought really cheap, which I like the second Thor movie, Captain Marvel, stuff like that. I've given up on the MCU in general. The third Guardians film was my final one. I love the Guardians films. There's a good amount of these films that I still really enjoy, popcorn value kind of fodder, whatever. But I am tired of watching them personally. But that's just how it is, I prefer to get different experiences out of movies, and even for blockbusters. I know I'm saying this when I said that I love the Fast and Furious films, but even they're constantly changing up their styles, and I kind of like that. I did actually like that Multiverse of Madness film because, I like Sam Raimi. Master and Commander, wonderful film, totally recommend it. Matinee, good Joe Dante film. We got some Paul McCartney concerts as well because Dad just had them on Blu-ray, so I'm like, alright, sure, I'll just add them into the video. Mel Brooks collection. I've actually got all of my Mel Brooks films in that collection, except for the space one he did. It'll pop up later, but I've just got all the Region B versions in that set just to make it easier to watch them all because, they're all Region A discs kind of deal, so, But, Midnight Cowboy, that's a good one. I haven't seen Midnight in Paris yet, but I got it for cheap. Midnight Run was really fun. I only watched that recently, but I really enjoyed that. Yes, a disgrace on my shelf is Minions, but luckily I didn't buy it and I don't own it. It's my brother's. Missing Link, on the other hand, now that's a good family film. And then Mission Impossible, wonderful franchise with, I think my favourite being Rogue Nation. It's hard, like, it's always difficult to say which one's my favorite, but I think Rogue Nation. That Miyazaki set is all of his ones that he did with Studio Ghibli. I think it with like the first two being the exclusions there, but they are wonderful films, of course, and a great set. And of course, here is the MonsterVerse collection. I don't mind the design of these steelbooks; they're quite nice. I like just their touches, their finishes, and gives me all of them in 4K. So just in case I have a faulty disc kind of deal, I don't know, why not? Moonlight, excellent film, basically. Compared that to bloody Mortal Kombat and Annihilation, but you know, it is what it is. Mothra, wonderful set. And Rebirth of Mothra, both 1, 2, and 3, all in one set. Amazing stuff. Mr. Robot, one of my favourite TV shows. Great modern show, especially. So that's a proud addition to my collection. Then we got some Second Sight with The Mummy. And then we've got The Mummy on 4K, and The Mummy Returns, and The Mummy, what is it, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor? That's the one. That's the original Blu-ray we had, but you know. My Fair Lady, wonderful 4K transfer, one of my favourites in terms of the transfer. Naked Gun, I'd recommend Police Squad, the TV show. I think it's a lot better. I don't have the Blu-ray because the Blu-ray doesn't have one of the episodes, but the DVD does. So I have the DVD instead, but, you know, I might upgrade eventually. And Neon Genesis, which that shot is mildly out of focus, but that's alright. It's a big box set. I did a video on it, I think. I don't know. Either way, great show. Nice Guys, classic film. I know it's only in 2016, but hey, you know, it's a good film. You gotta watch it. Night of the Creeps, wonderful. Love it. Good stuff. Night of the Hunter, classic cinema. You got some Nightbreed, Nightcrawler, and more Nightcrawler, which a friend from high school had recommended because he was like really into like dark cinema. He's like, oh, you gotta watch Nightcrawler, it's really messed up. I'm like, sure, alright, why not, you know? I'm very open to suggestions, so it's always fun to get opinions on other films. Nobody, great, love. Bob Odenkirk, No Country for Old Men, Nocturnal Animals, and then Christopher Nolan, with my favourite of his being, well, the more obvious, Interstellar, but I do have all of his releases except for Following, which was like I think his first feature. They've got a Criterion release, but I don't have it yet. Yes, I have the gift set for the Dark Knight trilogy, which I'd gotten for Christmas. That was when they'd all come out, and I hadn't actually seen any of them. So my first experience was the gift set, and I loved it. And yes, I do have a lot of steelbooks for Interstellar, because it's a beautiful film. I do like Dunkirk as well, actually. Nope is great. Northman I enjoyed quite a lot. Nosferatu, classic cinema. Not quite Hollywood, good documentary. I haven't seen The Nun, but, you know, I'll get there eventually. You know, it's just... Ocean's Trilogy, obviously, great stuff. Old Dark House, good. James Whale, Old Boy's great. Oliver, that's in the Columbia Classic set. Here we're in the Olympus Has Fallen selection, so hence they're all there. It's the trilogy. My friend had given them to me for free, which was really fun, because they're not great movies, but, you know... it's fun to have free movies, so that's good. Onibaba, classic Japanese cinema. Original Cast Company, I haven't seen that one yet, but Orlando as well. Orphan's good. Orphan Fam Rise Up. Orphan. Gotta get more of those Orphan films. But there's no reason to have them, but I'm more than happy to. And Paddington, of course, and Paddington 2. The movie of the millennium, I don't know. It's the greatest film ever made, apparently. But look, it's a wonderful film. Can't disagree there. Passion of Joan of Arc's good. Patterson's good. See, sometimes I like the simpler films as well, like Patterson, which is just kind of a day in the life kind of deal. You know, I mean, what is it, that Beatles song, The Day in the Life? It's very, you know, relatable in that regard. Persona, good Ingmar Bergman. Good stuff. I love this cinema. Fan of the Mall. I still got to watch that one. Fan of the Opera. That's a good one. That's great. Yeah, it's good. It's Picnic at Hanging Rock. Look at that. I've also got the Second Sight set, because why not? Pink, I saw that live as it happened. It's one of the few concert films I own. It's Dad's copy, because I'm pretty sure they were meant to get it for me for my birthday. Like, it was meant to be a gift, and I happened to notice it, and I mentioned to Mum, like, God, I hope Dad didn't buy that for me, because I hate concert films on Blu-ray, so they had to buy me something else, which I found very funny. But thank God, because I hate concert films and like watching them, except for Stop Making Sense. I do like the Planet of the Apes films. I have all of them, which is really good. Poltergeist is good. Pompoko is a fun one that a friend had introduced me to a while back. We never finished it, but then I had to buy the Blu-ray to finish it. Portrait of a Lady is great. Possession is great. Haven't seen Possessor yet, but you know, Predator, of course, classic Schwarzenegger film. I actually like the whole trilogy. I don't like The Predator, so hence I don't own it. Hey, easy as that. Prime Cut's a new one as well. Primer, yet to watch. Princess Bride's classic. You know, Prom Night, love me slasher films, and Promising Young Woman. I wish I had the first Psycho in this collection, but of course it's a Hitchcock, whereas the rest of them aren't, so that's just one of the deals with having a director collection, you know, my exception being like Sam Raimi, where I've put like a lot of his films that he didn't direct in that selection. You'll see him later, and here we've got Quatermass in the Pit, as well as Quatermass in the Pit, sorry. It goes with the other Quatermass one, because I had them in the same case. I've merged them together. The Raid and The Raid 2, great. So Sam Raimi, as you see here, love The Evil Dead, love The Evil Dead 2. These are all on release order, so hence Crime Wave. And the shitty version of Evil Dead 2 and the good version of Evil Dead 2. I swapped the artwork around, so that's why I look really goofy there. So, but yes, I swapped the artwork for Evil Dead 2 with the Blu-ray and the 4K, because the 4K had the labels on it. I didn't like that. But yes, I've got Darkman 2 and 3 in here because he did produce them at least. You know, just makes it easier for me, I guess. Same as like the, you know, Fede Alvarez Evil Dead, because it just goes with the rest of the Evil Dead films. I know he didn't direct it, but it's all there, you know, it just makes it easier for me. Who else is going to complain, really? Raw, fantastic French horror film. Reanimator's great. Reanimator 2 and 3 are wonderful films. Ready or Not's pretty good. You know, Wreck, love the Spanish horror films, good stuff. Terrifying, genuinely, but loved it. Reign of Fire, dragons. Repo Man's limited edition version, which is pretty neat. Reptile, Hammer Horror's classic. Resident Evil, love the Resident Evil films. They're guilty pleasures for certain, but Retribution I stand by as a masterpiece. The others, sure, shit on them all you want, but Retribution's the best one. Yeah, that was the retro sci-fi collection. It's a bunch of movies. And here is my Riddick collection, where it starts with Pitch Black, then Chronicles, then Riddick, because I love Riddick. The Ring, because I like the Ringu films, and here we are. So that's fun. Look at that. Look, I got all of them. Even Rings. Yeah, sometimes you just have to put up with what the cinematic universes entail. RoboCop in 4K is really nice. The Rock is fun. Robots, classic from my childhood. Rocket Man's good. All the Rocky films. I would get the 4Ks, but I'm happy. Rocky Horror is great. Roman's good. Roman Holiday's good. Ronan's good. Yes, that is the version with the incorrect details on the back, so it's technically the rare version, but I'm still happy to have it. Rosemary's Baby, an out-of-print Criterion. Beautiful film. Run Lola Run was sent over by my German friends. I really like that, actually. I've seen it twice now. I really like it. There's only a few films. One was about Hitler. That Samurai Jack's also out of print. And another one, like The Lives of Others. I haven't yet watched those two, and I've had them for like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years now, which is ridiculous. But, you know, Saw, 4K Steelbook, very nice. Scanner Darkly is a really interesting film. Another Cronenberg, Scarface, the original. Scarlet Hour, Scary of 61st, very interesting set, as well as the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, and the films, because I love the films. So here's the question of, do I put these in Wes Craven because they're the Scream films? And luckily the 4-pack set, technically I can, because they're all directed by him. But yet I have not made that set yet. And yet here we are with that's my favourite one, the King of Comedy for Martin Scorsese. He's got an interesting selection of films. I do like a lot of them. I'm not overly fond of his films in general, but I do like he's one of those kind of guys I appreciate him as a filmmaker, as like a producer, that kind of stuff, but I'm not always fond of his films. So I guess that's maybe why King of Comedy is my favourite of his, but you know, that's just how I roll, I guess. Secret of the Incas, because I love Indiana Jones. Serenity, yeah, because I like Firefly. I mean, I haven't watched it in a while, but, you know. Seven Psychopaths is good. Love some Martin McDonough. Seventh Cursive of Seal is a great Criterion. I would like to get the 4K, but I'm pretty content. Same as Shadow on 4K is really nice. Shadow and Soccer's fun. Shawshank's good. Got the first Sherlock on DVD, so hence the Blu-ray is the second one. Showgirl's wonderful film. Great 4K transfer as well. M. Night Shyamalan, because honestly, he's a fantastic director. Sure, he's had a period where he's made a bunch of misses, but honestly, the fact that it's all led up to Old is a masterpiece, so I can't deny that. Silence of the Lambs, wonderful film. Silent Hill's pretty good. Silent Night, Deadly Night. I definitely recommend watching both of them, but I strongly recommend the first one. The second one is fine. The second one's very goofy, but the first one is really good. So, can't lose there. Seeing the Rain, that's a really nice 4K steelbook set. Sister Street Fighter's good. Sisters Brothers, I haven't seen since cinema, but I did enjoy it. I think I saw the Australian premiere, actually, of the director, so that was kind of fun. Sleepaway Camp is really good. Do not look up the twist. It is great. Just watch the movie. Summer Party Massacre, really good. I've heard the second one's really good too, so I'm keen to buy that eventually, especially now there's a new 4K. Society as well, We Pass is great. Sopranos is really good. Great show in general. Sound of Music, that's Mum's set, but it does have the Blu-ray, which is great. Southland Tales, I've heard is very good. I've yet to watch it, but I'm keen to. Spaceballs, of course, got to get the 4K. Space Jam New Legacy. Got that for Christmas as a joke from my brother. I just have to live with it. But here we are in Spielberg's selection, because, all of his films are basically Okay, not all of his films, but most of his films are masterpieces. I've always loved his films. Grew up with Indiana Jones, I've started with the box sets, then I'm going Raiders. Then we go into chronological order of the rest of his releases. So hence Temple of Doom's here after E.T. and so forth and so forth. I wanted to really confuse the audience. Hi, how's it going? So yeah, but I love the Indiana Jones films. That set does actually house, the Jurassic Park set does house the Jurassic World Blu-rays, just to make it easier for me on the shelf. But I don't think anyone really has noticed, which is good. Mostly because I don't think anyone's really eager to rewatch the Jurassic World films. But it is what it is. Tintin's great. Lincoln I have yet to see, but that's what Spielberg does now, like 2.5 hour long semi based on reality films, except for of course Ready Player One, which is awful, but hey, Fablemans and West Side Story make up for it. Sometimes you gotta just do that shitty one that people eat up, so you can make your own crap, which is always the cinematic way. Starship Troopers is really good. That 4K steelbook is immaculate. Great transfers. The Star Trek, the original 4, love them. You got the 5th and 6th one as well, Next Gen. I'm pretty big into Star Trek as well. I'm not a huge Star Trek fan, but I've grown up on it, and I've enjoyed a good plenitude of the shows, with probably Voyager being my favourite, but I'm yet to rewatch and fully delve into every single one of them. But of course now we're into Star Wars. These Star Wars ones, actually, the steelbooks here, which are the 4K steelbooks, actually house the Project 4K 77 and 83, as well as Empire here, of course, having it's like a Grindhouse version. I'm happy to watch the 4K for that, just in contrast, but still, I don't mind having those original prints on Blu-ray, but not fully remastered kind of deals. Yeah, they really got to remaster the original prints. I'd love to have that. I've got the VHS, for crying out loud, Street Fighter's fun. Stripes is pretty fun. It's got the extended cut as well, which is interesting. The stuff is interesting. Larry Cohen's made some interesting films. Succession's really good. Sucker Punch. Can't go wrong with Sucker Punch. I'd suggest the extended cut over the theatrical cut any day of the week. Sunshine's a classic. Super 8's pretty good. Yes, I have the Mario film. It's the 4K scan, which is actually quite nice. But it's an interesting film. Suspiria's great. Love Suspiria. I know it's even a remake of a classic, but it's still such an amazing film all to itself. Then we got Swiss Army Man, which is one of my favourite films of all time. So that's always a fun film to show to people. So it's just good. I can't believe I have Tag. It's my brother's. It doesn't matter. I'll burden him with it. Taken of Pelham 123. You gotta watch it. Fantastic film. Tale of Two Sisters, really good. That's the Nova Media version as well. Tales from the Crypt Demon Knights, really good. I can't believe the second film was awful, so I don't own it. So this is what it is. Then we got Talking Heads. Tampopo is a great western set in Japan. Like it's still technically it's a food western, but Tarantino, of course, with Kill Bill being my second favorite of his, followed by Death Proof. Preceded by Death Proof. I don't know, Death Proof's my favourite of his films, let's put it that way. So, what does that tell you about me when it comes to Tarantino? Like, I love Tarantino's films and filmography, but I love Death Proof. It's very bizarre that that's the one that's my favourite of his, because he's made some fantastic films. Jackie Brown in particular is amazing, and Glorious Bastards is arguably his masterpiece. It really depends on who you ask, obviously, but, can't go wrong with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's just good cinema, just in general. Tarantulas and Jacques Tati. I'm yet to watch them, but I'm keen. 10 Commandments, 4K Steelbook, really nice. The Terminator, and The Terminator 2, which I have too many copies of. Unfortunately, I do have the 4K, and yes, I have watched it once. I have not watched it since. I've only watched the Skynet edition because, gotta go with the less DNR version. And also the Skynet edition comes with all 3 cuts. Terrifier is good, Terror Train's good. Just fun stuff. Texas Chainsaw, here we go. Look at how many copies of Texas Chainsaw I have. I'm pretty happy with these. That 4K set is wonderful. I absolutely love it. The second one's interesting. I don't love it, but I've only watched them once so far, but I did like it. Thelma and Louise is great. Gotta love my 50s monster movies. Thief is great too. Thin Red Line's pretty decent. Thing from Another World is actually the same case that houses the 2011 film, but it's just because I got the sleeve, I can make it look like they're 2 separate cases. This is the End is pretty fun. 13 Ghosts End. 13 Ghosts? 30 Miles from Nowhere. I know the director. I did an interview with her. Go check it out. With Caitlin Collar. Good interview. She's a really fun person to hang out with. 3,000 Years of Longing is really good. Time Traveler's Wife is a classic. Tinker Tailor is interesting. Titan is a hell of a film. Tokyo Drift is good. To Kill a Mockingbird in classic cinema. Tomb Raider is, well, it's a film. I love the game, so, it is what it is. Tootsie's great. Top Gun is fine, but Maverick, that's a good movie. Top of the Lake's good. Top Secret, wonderful. I love that film. Torchwood's pretty good. I mean, sure, I guess. I haven't watched it since, but I do enjoy the show. Oh, God, Total Recall was great. I wanted to mention that, but I was too exhausted from thinking of Torchwood. Some of these I have yet to watch. Train to Busan. I love Train to Busan. Trainspotting's good. I should get the second one. I just haven't bothered to, but I did like it. Yes, and some Transformers as well, and Tree of Life. Tremors is a masterpiece. I would highly recommend Tremors. The 4K set is really good as well. Trick or Treat, really good. Trip to the Moon, probably my oldest film in my collection. I know it's not a feature length, but it is technically the oldest film I own, so that's really nice. Tropic Thunder is really fun. True Grit's really good. True Romance, great Tony Scott film. Wonderful steelbook set. Truman Show's great. Tucker and Dale always makes my mum laugh. Like, it's one of the only horror films that she likes watching because it always makes her laugh so much. 12 Angry Men's good. 12 Monkeys is good. Then 21 Jump Street. And then 22 Jump Street. Oh my god, when's 20? No, it's just 28 days later. And 28 weeks later. Twilight Zone, great remastered set. Two Hands, another one of my favourite Australian films. Under the Skin is great. Underworld is good. Well, I mean, it's fine, I guess. I was going on a roll there and I realised, wait, it's Underworld. My Universal Monsters collection, I figured I'd put them all in together because there's a lot of them. I say there's a lot because then we get to the steelbooks, and then we get to the individual releases as well. It's good. I love this stuff. I did a video reviewing every single one of these films, and I absolutely loved watching the majority of them, which is good because I don't always love watching all of these films, but I love The Creature from the Black Lagoon the most. It's my favourite, and I put the documentary in there too because keep all the creature together, make me the fan happy. Upgrade, great Aussie film. Urban Legends trilogy, that's pretty good. Us, it was interesting. V for Vendetta is good. Valerian, I'd say a guilty pleasure for my part. I love the visuals of it, and I quite like watching it. Vampire Diaries is Mum's. I gotta put that out there. Van Helsing is a childhood favourite, but sometimes modern, like having a critical sense of cinema kind of destroys that. But Videodrome's great. Vikings is an interesting show. I never finished it, but I got the last few seasons for my family, for my parents to finish watching, but I never got the last season because I never finished past, I think, Season 5, Volume 2. So, you know, I've only got 2 more seasons to go. So that's alright. Then Denis Villeneuve, whose masterpiece after masterpiece, fantastic films overall. With obviously Blade Runner 2049 being my favourite. Look at me smile. I'm so happy to hold the 4K. My first 4K. Vincent Price collection. Then Wachowskis, because they also have made masterpiece after masterpiece. With, I know you're probably going to be like, but are you going to include that one film that also might not be a masterpiece? Yes, it's right there. Yeah, Jupiter Ascending. Yeah, it's not a masterpiece, but it's interesting. Wake and Fright is a very interesting Australian film. Walk Hard is great compared to like Walk the Line, the like polar opposites of the same genre kind of deal. War and Peace is the 7-hour version. It's I haven't watched it yet because it's too long. War of the Worlds, good 4K steelbook set. You know, I love my 4K stuff. Warning shot. The Warriors has both cuts. I've only watched the theatrical, but I thank God I waited. Good film. Watchmen's interesting as well. That comes with a comic book in that set, which I'm very happy to own. The show is really good as well. Anything Damon Lindelof, I'm pretty happy to watch. Then some John Wayne films, which are really good. Some more John Wayne films, which are really good. And then some Wes Craven films, which is on the West. I don't know why I'm still delineating. Westworld is fun, I guess. Yeah, sure. What We Do in the Shadows is pretty good. When Harry Met Sally, one of my favorites. Whiplash is good. Why the Eye? Steelbook. And then Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which I have 2 steelbooks from, but the second one is the 4K release, which is the only reason I got it. Wicker Man's good. It's a bit hefty of a set, but it's still really nicely put together. Wild Things is interesting, to say the least. Willy Wonka, of course, with the 4K box set there. Really good 4K box set. Wings, classic cinema. The Witch, classic cinema. Good 4K set from Second Sight. Witchfinder General as well. Wizard of Oz, I should get the 4K of that. Woman King. Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm. The World at War, good documentary set. Worlds of Wonka Wai is really interesting. I don't like the set at the time, but amazing films. So, then Edgar Wright, one of my favourite directors. I have too many copies of almost all of his films. Because I grew up with Shaun of the Dead, which was my first ever Blu-ray was Shaun of the Dead. So, and Hot Fuzz. I actually got them both at the same time from my dad for my birthday. That was a good year. But yeah, I absolutely love these films. World's End, I'm still very iffy on. I love the first half. I don't love the second half, but I still like it overall. And Scott Pilgrim is my favourite of his films. One of my favourite films of all time, probably in my top 5, because I love it. It's one of those shapes your personality kind of films, you know? And I have, obviously, a plentitude of steelbooks of it as well, because I just love it. Including that is the same 4K steelbook I have earlier, but just in a different set. So, you know, it is what it is. Baby Driver's interesting, and Last Night in Soho I'm still growing into, but I do like it. It's one of those, I want to love it, but, you know. And Pearl is in the X series, so, you know, it's why it's with next to X. Of course, X-Men, because I have too many X-Men movies. They made too many X-Men movies. Logan's good, though. I like Logan. I don't know why I have Dark Phoenix, but I just do. Triple X is pretty fun. I don't know. Why not? I don't like Yesterday, but I have it. Dad likes the Beatles. Yokai Monsters. Good stuff. You will never really hear. Interesting film. Young Frankenstein is good. Your Name is sad. And Zombieland 1 and Zombieland 2. Pretty good stuff. Oh, and lucky last, we have Rob Zombie, whose films actually, I do like his films, let's be honest. They're really interesting. Lords of Salem is probably my favourite of his films. So, yeah. And that's the whole kit and caboodle. I'll put you all into the outro, but thanks for running through this commentary track, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. It has been an absolute burden to put this video together, but I've enjoyed it. It's cinema. I don't know. It's bloody movies. Into the outro. Ciao, ciao. Hi. That was long. Hopefully it wasn't too messy in terms of how short some of the clips were or how laggy, because of I had to pad some of them out because they were not longer than a second in terms of how long I stood there to film it. So that was bad on my part, but that was usually some earlier takes. So, you know, this was a live and learn kind of progressive thing as I started filming, and then realized, oh, I should also change my facial expressions while I'm filming because I look really bored. I wasn't. It was just like, it's a lot of work to put in, and I was also watching some videos that kind of, not always the most like, I'm not watching comedy specials while I'm filming this. You don't want me to burst out laughing while I'm holding up, I don't know, Grave of the Fireflies. So, nevertheless, hope you guys have enjoyed, and they're for certain collections, for certain box sets, for certain steelbooks, say Manta Lab and such like that, there are specific videos, but for the most part everything is going to be isolated to this kind of a video, and whatever comes in this week in mail videos. So yeah, unless there happens to be a box set or whatever I really want to dive into, so that's just how the channel goes. Outside of that, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more, and I will see you next time. Adios.